Hey everybody, I am Kevin Iole. Thank you for joining me. And one of my favorite fighters to talk to, but even more than that, one of my favorite fighters to watch. Man, this guy is something else. And you can see him on ESPN on Saturday. He is fighting a very important fight in his career against Vicente Luque, who I believe is ranked number 11th in UFC's welterweight rankings. I am talking about Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good, bro. To get this fight with Vicente Luque, man, I'm excited, bro. This is definitely my show out time. So definitely finna go out there and do what I need to do to get that win.
Get you in the rankings. So a win over Vicente Luque, that is significant in the UFC still. He is a very good fighter, had a lot of good wins, and he is ranked in the division. So I would think a win over Luque would probably get you into the rankings.
Yeah, it will. Luque has been around for a long time. Respectively, back in the day, we all looked at Vicente Luque as being a future world champion. And for me, Luque is such a great fighter and has a great mentality where he still believes that he's growing and he's getting better. So I believe that when I fight Vicente Luque, I'm going to be fighting the best version. And with that being said, it's going to definitely put me on track, to fight for a world title for myself. Definitely with a win over him.
Sometimes people kind of forget, like, you're still a young guy. You're still only 29 years old. You've been around a long time. You fought a number of fights in Bellator. I'm just looking, you started 10 years ago. So you were a teenager
Yeah.
when you
At the
started to
time, young
fight.
buck.
How does that change you, like, now that you have the experience and you've been around a long time, do you look at the business and your job differently than you did, say, when you first started out?
Yeah, I look at it completely different. There's still some things that I'm learning and growing and pursuing to capture outside of just my career as a mixed martial artist. But besides that, my mentality has definitely shifted over, just being a fighter towards being a martial artist now. Being put to where we do interviews and how we market ourselves through social media and how we really just brand our names. Try to be a household name in this with this fight that's coming up and me about to be ranked. This creates me to be a household name, so I can't wait.
And I think, you talk about branding yourself and making yourself a household name. I mean, I think when we go down the list and we look at some of these KOs, Andre Fiallo going on down the list, Impa Kasanganay, to me, was my favorite, right? But you've had a lot of them. What is that like to be able to score those kind of devastating knockouts? I mean, first of all, just the feel of it. When you hit somebody with one of those shots, do you know it? Like, sometimes, like, I play golf. Sometimes you hit a good drive, right? You feel it. You know it's going down there, right?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
feel those when you land them?
Yeah, necessarily. When you find that shot, but sometimes you just don't know. Like it be the ones that you don't even expect to knock them out to knock them out. But I get exactly what you mean. It's just like it's like a pop. It's a snap to it. Like when
Right.
you hit a real good wow, and you see a person, go unconscious. It feels good. But regardless of that nature, it's not something I look for. Ever since I've been started with my career, I've always been a very aggressive, fast-paced type of fighter, and knockouts would just come. And I feel like now with me being a little bit more experienced, I realize I don't have to be so aggressive. I can let my shots find themselves, and a lot of guys, unfortunately, they fall right into the sword, which leads me to get the knockout. So I just need an opponent who's gonna come and fight, and everything's just gonna happen naturally.
Do you feel like your knockouts are the result of speed or power? Because you used to be a much bigger guy, right? When you fought a middleweight, I mean, you were a burly, intimidating looking guy, right? And not that you're not intimidating looking now, right? But you're not quite as burly as you used to be at middleweight. How do you set it up? Is it the power you think that generates that
it's
enormous? I mean, the
it's
speed that generates that
it's
enormous
all
power, or is it
it's
your
the
physical strength?
all in between, right? And my thing is, yeah, I have knockout power, but I also can sustain that knockout power for rounds. And the thing is, what really gets guys knocked out is when they get exhausted. And I feel like for me, I'm gonna be able to get even more knockouts with the opportunity to fight 5 rounds. The last fight that I had out with Alex Morono, it was a good fight for me, but I really felt like I wanted to finish, but I just didn't have enough time. I feel like, with myself, power, speed, and my conditioning is what helps, set me apart from a lot of these guys. So,
I,
yeah,
I, I
that
kind
what
of thought
contributes
that
to my
fight.
knockout.
Yeah, I was going to say, in that fight, it seemed like you also came on as the fight went on, right? Morona was
Yeah, I started
doing.
to turn. Yeah, yeah. The numbers started, and I mean that's just natural. As the fight continues to go on, I get better. I get stronger. My body has more fuel to just to keep working. And a lot of guys, they the opposite of me. They start off fast, right? But then they start to deplete themselves. So, I tell people I can go for days, and a lot of people get confused because of my stature and who I am and how I'm built. But I tell people, I got these goat muscles, right? So these are the muscles that I've been able to train for hours and hours and hours so I can be able to fight for 15 or 25 minutes.
When did you become a full-time fighter? Because I know when you scored your win over Kasanganay, you were still working. You were
Yeah,
at Walmart, right? I mean, not Walmart, Walgreens.
Walgreens.
Yeah.
Walgreens. Yeah.
When did you decide that, hey, I'm going to commit myself full-time to this?
I dedicated like full time. Like I would have to say, actually, the Abu Dhabi fight is when I really made the move. Uh,
The
and I
22.
can't remember. So it was a couple fights, before the Abu Dhabi fight, but I had fought Antonio Arroyo and Razak. But I just started to realize, if I do not take the full not even responsibility, but like just take this game seriously to the highest point. Like I'm not gonna be as successful as I want to be because in the Antonio Arroyo fight and the Razak fight, yeah, I won, but I had a difficult time getting those wins, right? So I was like, in order to keep this from happening, man, I need to take this game serious, and I need to put my whole mentality behind it. So for the Abu Dhabi fight is when I took it full time, and then I got the results where I got with Abu Dhabi.
So that had to say something to you about your natural talent, I would think, because if you're working, a full-time job and fighting part-time and you still were in the UFC and knocking guys out and winning, that had to tell you, hey, I have a lot of ability to go a long way in this sport, did it not?
Yeah. I mean, I've always known that. I've always known I was talented at it. But to actually show people that, besides just talent, I'm actually, with my intelligence when it comes to the fight game. I know what I'm doing. I know how to set up these fights. I know how to set up the knockouts. And, the techniques that I bring are a little bit unorthodox to others, but the things that I've created, right, that actually work. And I feel like that's the only thing. A lot of people just see me as an explosive athlete, which yes, I am. But there's more behind this as well. And for me to fight a guy like Vicente Luque, who's also experienced, who's also been in this game, for me to break him down is going to be a good thing for the world to see. Where I'm at.
And one of the things I was going to bring up and ask you about Luque, I mean, this is a guy that beat Tyron Woodley when Woodley was at top of the game,
Yeah,
right? I mean, Woodley
yeah. The St.
was
Louis
still the
payback.
man.
The
So
St. Louis payback.
yes, get those.
uh, Well, Woodley was on a decline. I believe Vicente Luque, if I'm not mistaken, retired Tyron Woodley when he had fought him. And for me personally, it's just like uh, we can get this one back because the UFC is coming to St. Louis eventually, right? Tyron Woodley is somebody that I looked up to when he became a world champion. That was a guy that I reached out to, to try to be in his position where he was at. And I feel like, right here, it's just, things just happen for a reason, man. So
Right.
I believe that, with me fighting Vicente Luque, it brings back, a dub for St. Louis. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for STL and Tyron Woodley for the one time.
Are you going to come in with a Cardinals hat on the by the way?
If they allow it.
Yeah, I guess that's a problem, right? So
Yeah.
anyways, how do you think Luque is going to attack you? Because obviously, I mean, he's got that diverse game. He has submissions and he also has the good striking. Do you feel like he's going to be willing to stand with you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's his game. He's not scared to stand in front of anybody. But with his condition that he had against Jeff Neal, and he's been cleared now, thankfully. And the doctors have checked in on him, but that's what gives me more hesitation than anything. Is he going to fight me the same way how he used to, like these other guys? Now that he had that condition happen to him, because when he fought RDA, he fought in a whole different, complete style, which he
Right.
still did very well at. But either way, we prepare for any style that Vicente comes with. But I'm intrigued myself. What Vicente Luque I'm gonna get in that cage.
You have won 5 of your last 7. But do you feel like you're on the verge of something big here? Do you feel like you're on the verge of a long streak, given, you know, the improvements you've talked about making and the changes in your training and that type of thing?
Yeah, I really, for real, not just saying this just to say it. Like, I really don't see myself losing to anybody. I look at the rankings and I look at who's all in the top 10, the top 15, and I just really, I match up well with everybody. And I feel like, you know, no matter what style that they might have, whether that's striking, whether that's the grappling, I feel like, you know, I can complement very well to either style, and I can see my hand getting raised. But I feel like people also forget, even though with those losses, right? I don't have many losses in the welterweight division. I only really lost to one person. And then I got a rematch with the guy that beat me and gave me my first L against Jackie Goss. So I'm gonna hit the little Sean O'Malley, you know what I'm saying? Like he really beat me. But
Wipe
regardless,
that
though,
O
I
out.
have only right. I only had one loss in the welterweight division, and that's against somebody who became a world champion with Bellator and Logan Storley.
Right.
And now I'm undefeated with two fights, being 2-0, but fighting good, incredible athletes in Andre Fiallo and Alex Morono. And if people can't really see, the dynamic of fighting at 185 and 170, these are two complete different stories. Like,
Right.
you can't match them together. So my welterweight career is so much more different than my middleweight career, but everybody want to mesh them together, which I believe that's their downfall, not mine. So,
Right.
you know.
Understood.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I get that. Just a last thing, I guess, you know, you mentioned you feel comfortable with everybody in the welterweight division. And I think a Leon Edwards story, and I wonder if there's a parallel with yours, because he was a guy that, you know, hey, he was winning a lot of fights and people weren't talking about it. Kamaru Usman's dominating the division and all that.
The
Everybody's
the the
talking.
the only difference between me and Leon, I knock people out. you know. So, yeah, he has the knockout amongst Usman, which is beautiful, right? Beautiful head kick. But other than that, there's not many knockouts that my man Leon Edwards has or holds. And he been in the UFC, I don't know how long again,
I think 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So
and
yeah,
I think he only got two knockouts.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
he,
so look, we different. Yeah, we a little different.
you know, I love watching you fight, but I will say this: he got one thing. He got that thing around his waist.
Oh
It's
yeah,
pretty.
but it took him a while to get it, which is understandable. But that's why I think I'm different, and I know I'm different. Like you said, I'm a fan favorite. There's a lot of people that still right now that don't know who the hell Leon Edwards is,
Right.
and not saying he's not a great fighter. Don't get it twisted. He's an excellent fighter, but he doesn't bring that type of fight that the fans want to see every single time, and
I
that's
hear
what
you.
I bring. And like I said, for March 30th against Vicente Luque, this is what's gonna make me a household name. So instead, people know who I am, but I'm that one guy that did that kick. They're gonna be like, okay, this is Joaquin Buckley, new man, a future champion in the welterweight division.
Do not forget that man. Yeah, no, he got a
Mhm.
lot of great knockouts on his record. He is a fun fighter to watch. And I guess what's the next thing? 5 round fights? Is that it now from here after this?
After that, only 5 rounders. Yeah. I work too hard to only be out there for 15 minutes.
All right, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We will see him 15 minutes or less on Saturday from Boardwalk Hall. 25
Definitely
minutes after
less.
that.
Definitely less.
Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.